Basically, what we want to start with is kind of divide his body into a couple of sections. For example, we want to have the head, which will be about over here. So I'm gonna very softly sketch in his head, just really I'm not pressing down very hard. And then we want his body, which is about over here, also a very large circle, a larger circle, which you almost always have in drawing creatures or animals. It's not very often that the head is bigger than the rest of his body. And then for his tail, we also kind of want to we want kind of a midsection over here, and then his tail will be about over here, a very small kind of circle over there. So for his head, excuse me, I think I'm about to lose my voice. So yeah, for his head, what we want to do is kind of draw a line like this going up, and then kind of curve it down a little, make it go like this, and over here we actually want it to be in a little bit of a different angle, something like this. Part of his neck, and then there's his body, and what we want to do is, for example, this is the center of his nose, kind of, so kind of draw something like this, draw it curved like this. We could actually make it a little bit bigger. Well, you know what, let's keep it like this. So we want to draw something like this, and then, like in a lot of dinosaur drawings, you want to draw a bit of his cheek over here, and it goes like this, and make sure you keep this kind of, well, actually it goes more like this kind of middle line there, and then kind of goes up, and then you kind of have the same, it just kind of goes out a little bit, and then you have this cheek again that you can kind of see, and then you just have to draw in something like this, which stops over there, and do the same thing over here. And we kind of want this to go up a little bit more. Alright, so now we want to kind of draw a line for his jaw. Now let's actually try and make this his head, just for the sake of getting the proportions right and stuff. So this is actually kind of part of his neck still, and then over here his body starts again. And then we have a big fat kind of, this is his belly, this part, and then his back goes up to this part, and it goes into the tail. So again, don't draw it with too dark lines, don't press down too hard on your pencil, because otherwise it will just ruin the chance to get something great out of it. So now we want to draw his eye in, which is about over there. Well, actually, maybe a little bit more farther back. kind of make it look like he is kind of a bit of an Irish, but not too extreme. So now we want to get his tail in, which actually is the top part is a little bit larger than the bottom part. So we're first gonna draw in his bottom part. Goes kind of like this, and then you can kind of draw it like this, but it kind of has a little bit of an angle back, and this part is a little bit higher. Something like that. Now you want to locate where you want to have his kind of fins attached to his body. So I'm just gonna draw a line like this, so I can actually look at the curvature of his body. So these two spots, I guess, are going to be the place for his fins. This fin actually is very, very large. It goes all the way up till there, and then it goes all the way back. And maybe I could make it a little bit bigger like this. And then this one, actually we can draw in a little bit of a bump over there. And then there his fin is attached to that one. Kind of like this. Very basic shapes. You don't really have to make the shapes that complicated. And then over here we can just barely see his back fin. Just, well, let's make it just a tiny little bit bigger, I guess. Alright, so right now this might not seem very special. Maybe we can adjust this a little bit, make it look a little bit better. So when we are going to put the teeth in, it will probably look a lot better. But I'm not sure where to place his eye, to be honest. So I'm gonna switch to, this is actually a 1mm point, I think, and this is a 0.5mm point, and they are both an HB pencil, mechanical pencil. So let's see. Yeah, it says 0.5 right here, but it's kind of faded away. So this is what I use to get better lines and make better looking details. Alright, let's just go over a couple of those lines that we created and make it a little bit cleaner. And there's this bump. So this is actually the bottom of his body over here. So I guess this one is placed a little bit too close to this one, because it's supposed to be a little bit feather. So I'm gonna erase it, and I'm gonna adjust the location to where it's attached to his body, which is supposed to be kind of over there. That makes it look a little bit more like it's a very fat giant shark. And these shapes are just very basic. You don't really have to make them look extremely good, or just make sure that you make this line kind of with a curve, so that it looks three-dimensional. So by the way, you might notice that I'm actually creating a lot of bumps in the shark. That's just because I want the shark to be very fat and have a lot of fat layers and a lot of wrinkles on his belly, so we can get a little bit more detail into the shark. First, by the way, we still need to add a couple of things. So this is the perspective that we're going with. It means that the perspective over here changes just a little bit, and it might be a little bit further back over here. Maybe we have those kind of strange fins that you see on a shark, and also one over here. This one is kind of angled a little bit, so it's a little bit harder to see. Kind of like this. So it's going to be a little bit harder to see when the drawing is finished as well. And then we still need to add a little fin over there, and one almost right above it over there. Alright, so now we can actually darken it in. And at the tail section, I don't want there to be too many curves. By the way, you could do something like that, which will make it look more three-dimensional later on. And on his tail, we have a lot of pointy things sticking out. It's not completely straight. And also over here, well, this part is completely straight, but the back part of his tail isn't. And I'm not sure if the tail of the Megalodon actually looked like that, but I can imagine it might have been quite similar. And the part of his back is actually quite straight. There aren't a lot of bumps over there. Just want his belly to be very bumped everywhere. And let's see where to put in his eye. Maybe over there? I'm not sure. Really not sure where to put his eye. Let's just put it over here. Don't make it too big. Maybe we are going to adjust the eye later on to where it is placed on his body, because I'm not really sure where it's supposed to be placed. Alright, so now we can kind of move on to adding his teeth. Oh, I didn't really erase it completely, so now it's completely erased. So the way you want to draw in his teeth is you just want to follow, first you want to follow this line and just make teeth that look kind of like let's say kind of shaped like this. So for example, if this is the mouth of the shark, you just want to draw in a couple of these shaped teeth, and then later on draw them in a different angle. And don't put them too close to each other, otherwise it will just kind of look strange. So this is going to be kind of a hard part, but I think we will be okay. So first what we want to do is draw in a couple of teeth pointing at this direction. Pointing kind of inwards. Now we want to draw teeth that point kind of a little bit more outwards. I mean, kind of like normal teeth. And now you want to draw teeth that kind of point outward even more. And then you just draw a line over there. And one more line like this. And this is actually his gum. And then you just do the same thing over here. Start with the teeth pointing inwards. Then let them point a little bit more at the right kind of direction. And then let them point outwards. And just draw this line again, and then this line again. Alright, now of course his nose is kind of located over here. Alright, so it looks kind of silly right now, but usually when I put a little bit more detail into the drawing, it kind of looks a little bit better. Alright, so first I want to give my drawing a certain tone, so I'll be back when I did that. Alright, so really quickly I'm gonna replace his eye. I'm going to relocate his eye actually to over here. I'm still keeping a highlight in it. I guess this kind of looks silly because his hat is way too long right now, so I think that his head might supposed to be over here. Well, let's just adjust this part just a tiny little bit. Make it just a little bit more like this. This might look a little bit better. Alright, so I'll be back when I gave the whole drawing a certain tone. Alright, so I'm back, and what I actually did was I smeared a little bit with my finger and it gives kind of a nice effect, but I'm not using that technique a lot, just barely using it. So now what I want to do, so by the way, the reason why I want to give my shark a certain tone is because it will look, this part will look like it's going to be white, but it's never white, it's never exactly color white. Well, white isn't a color, but there's always a little bit of pigment going on everywhere, even in birds and stuff. So I'm just first, actually, let's draw the shape of his head. So this is probably his head, and just behind his head will be a couple of gills. So I'm just going to draw that in like this. I'm not really paying attention to the way that they look right now. I just want a couple of lines. I just want to put in a couple of lines and stuff, and a little bit of texture. So there's a bump over there, and I'm just going to put in a couple of wrinkles and stuff. A little bit of shadow. Maybe a little bit of shadow, because this is actually where his head, the shape of his head, and probably something like this going on right here. And probably a couple of lines going on right here, right near his nose. These lines might actually go on a little bit further. So I'm just trying to give it kind of a unique look. I'm not actually putting in a lot of detail or drawing this in very dark or anything. I'm just putting in a couple of very light lines. These lines might actually go like this, to actually give it, like I said, a unique kind of look and a little bit of texture on his body, so it won't just be like a normal boring shark. It still has to be something like the Megalodon, the majestic Megalodon, I guess. So now actually we want to have a bit of shadow over here, a line that goes like this. You can kind of see a muscle coming from his spine, I guess, going all the way up to his tail. So this part might actually look very dark right now, but I guarantee you that later on it will look extremely light compared to the top of his body, because the top of his body is supposed to be black. So I'm now getting really careful at this part to not put in too many of those lines anymore. Maybe a couple more over here. It's really a very strange kind of imaginal Megalodon. So these gills, I'm not sure how many gills he has. I can't really see it too good at my reference photo. I'm just gonna draw them in like this. And I guess that his fin is supposed to be attached over here. But let's not focus too much on accuracy, because I never really drew a shark before. Something like that. And now I kind of want his kind of black thing, his black pattern. I want to add it to his back as well. And I guess it kind of goes like this. It goes all the way up till there. And then it goes like this. And actually, it kind of goes like this over here. It touches this thing over here. And then it makes the tail completely black as well. So there are still a couple of highlights, but I'm sure that I can get those highlights in with my eraser. So I'm just gonna darken this in, and I'll be back once that's done. Alright, so I didn't exactly darken in everything, but I'm just gonna explain what I did. I made the gills a little bit darker, and then I made sure to get a certain tone between them, and I'm not going over those gills anymore, so I'm just gonna darken in everything around it, but I don't touch the gills anymore, so that will create kind of a highlight between them. Also, this line that we drew before, I'm not going over that because that's supposed to be a highlight as well. So I could draw it a little bit lighter, I mean the dark tone, because there are a lot more dark tones in there, but I can't draw them in now because of the way that I drew it. So I'll be back when I did the rest. Alright, now I'm just going to do the same thing over here and leave this a little bit lighter, and over here as well. Okay, so I basically did over here the same as over here, and then I darkened only the front part of his flippers a little bit, and I went over every line to make it look like there's a little bit more shadow, a little bit more detail actually going on over here. And the reason why I didn't do it on camera is just simply because of the fact that I only have 3 more minutes to record, otherwise my camera will turn itself off. So the only thing left to do right now is to darken in this part. Don't go farther than over here actually. Kind of do it like that. So darken that in very dark. Alright, so don't touch the teeth with anything. They just need to remain as light as we can have them. Now kind of do the same thing as what I'm doing right now, and then just do something like this. And you might want to draw an extra line right there for his cheek. Kind of a little bit more extra detail. Alright, and now you might want to draw a couple of these lines in. Make sure again that you don't touch the teeth at all. These aren't actually the gills, they're just a little bit more detail, so it won't just look like it's blank. And now just around his eye, put in a little bit more shading, but don't go as dark as what you would do with the rest. So I'm gonna clean it up a little bit and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So the only thing we still need is my autograph. And the name of the creature that we drew. Alright. So, yeah, I hope you actually learned something from this video. I hope you liked the video. If you did, leave a like. Comment below what you think about the drawing and the video. And don't forget to subscribe. So, this was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.